the Instagrams.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ed Parcaut here with Brian Galke, and we are Aces53, which is 4 aces at a joker, which basically is ACES stands for attitude, commitment, enthusiasm, and smile, which you bring to the table in sales. And that joker is that unique ability you have that's either natural or something you learned. When I sold by the phone, I guess I still do that to this day. I have a good voice. It works for radio, and I didn't know that until I had cans on, and that's my special, I guess, gift naturally. Yes. Yeah. Because if you sound like Gilbert Godfrey, they want to get the heck off the phone. And if you don't know who that is, that means you're under 35.
That's right. You have not watched masterpieces like those movies, like Police Academy.
Oh God, that was horrible. That's so horrible. All right. What are we talking about today?
Well, last week we were talking about niching down. We're going to go back into that again this week. And so we're going to have another joker on Thursday who completely niche down in their industry and what they're doing. But you kind of ran back across this. You talked last week about you started listening to The Game by Alex Hormozi, and it really made you realize between that and talking to the person who said you help people get their dignity back so that they can buy a home. That was your kind of what you've been focusing on, is trimming down, going for quality over quantity. And that's not just in your audience, it's in what you're doing with podcasts and everything else.
Right. But the only difference is the dignity, not about getting a home. It's just doing, I deal in dignity, not necessarily, because some of them already have a home. So,
right.
I just want to clarify that. Oh, look at all those different colors you're doing.
I know. Well, my lights are acting weird. My computer keeps locking up. I can hear you.
Did you update with the new OS for Mac?
No, I did not.
Oh, maybe that's why. Maybe there's something there that you need to do and get updated. I finally did, but it takes an hour. Anyway, there was something else I wanted to talk about because I was listening to him this morning because I do a 4 to 5 mile walk with either 30 or 50 pounds, depending on what I'm doing that day. And I was listening to him, and there's something he was talking. I was like, man, that'd be good to talk about today. But I guess we need to. Are you there?
Oh, now, yeah, I've been frozen for the last 30 seconds, so I think my computer needs to reboot. But
you're not frozen. You have not been frozen.
Oh, on my side, I have been.
Well,
anyway, go ahead.
That's what happens, I guess, sometimes. All right, anyway, I was talking about how I was listening to him this morning about one of his programs, because I'm so far going backwards. I listen to a new one each week and then go again. It keeps taking me backwards to some of the older stuff. And again, it's just re-looking at everything that you're doing, and don't be stagnant about it. Right. Make changes to what you're doing. Don't stay there. And he always talks about, what are you doing? Can we 10x that? Well, why can't we 10x that?
Right.
Okay, then we need to work on that, so that we can get to that point. And I think a lot of people, when they're looking at leads and they're looking at how to build their business, they're not looking at where the problem are. They're just saying there's a problem.
Right. I think people are somewhat lazy about it. And I'm guilty of that. You and I had the talk, my website's being redone. And at first I was like, oh, no, don't. I paid a lot of money for that website before. And you pointed out, yeah, it's an old website and you're not on it.
No, I didn't say it like that, but nice try. I just said you have to make changes. There's stuff I want to do to mine that they've said to make some changes, and I'm going to do that. But it's always good to relook at things and don't be, that's my baby. That was what I started with.
Exactly.
Now I remember. It's about mentors. If you have a good mentor, eventually, they got you to where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then you surpass them. You need to thank them for getting you to where they got you to, because without them, you wouldn't have got there. Like he talked about, Gary, he had Gary V.
Mm-hmm. Gary
V didn't have a Gary V.
Right.
So you can surpass them. It's like Berkshire Hathaway guy. He had somebody else, and then that guy got him to where it was, and he went even further because of that. And you're going to go further. And so you have to remember, if you're a mentor and you're helping somebody, you want that person to surpass you and not need you any longer if you're giving them any good advice.
And it's interesting because we've all seen people who, when their mentee passes them, they get bitter about it. And so in the book, The 48 Laws of Power, I think law number 2, because I just started listening to it, was don't outshine the master. And
really?
That's one of the laws. And they go through the historical significance of it. But you're right. That's the whole point of having a coach. Is a coach should help you, or a mentor should want to help you get to the point where they can't help you anymore, and they should be okay if you go somewhere else. And so I'll talk about like Brad Lee. I've been in Brad's masterclass for 5 years, and he will openly say, "Hey, look, if I bring on another speaker and something resonates more with them than with me, go chase after them. You're here to learn. I'm not the only person that should be giving you information." Now, there's other coaches that are out there that we've seen on stages and other places that when someone leaves them, they immediately start talking trash about that person. About, oh, well, I got them to where they are, and they don't remember where they're. Instead of saying, I'm proud of them and what they learned in their time with me, some people see it as like an abandonment issue. But really, we should always be, to your point, up leveling our coaches, training. It is what it is.
And thank them first.
Yes. Oh, 100%.
Yeah. But I mean, and but the coaches have to be understanding about that, because some of the people we know are not understanding about that.
Right.
And I'm listening to one later today. It's not, he's in my industry, and he created some of the biggest names in our industry, and they all went on to do amazing stuff. They don't talk.
Yeah. It's a combination of,
and I'm not saying it's hit one or the other person's fault. It's both their fault, but I don't think people understood to this point that that's what you should be doing. Or
exactly. No, I'm in full agreement with you. It's anything you do, once you level up, you have to go, can this person still help me or not? If not, is it time to do another one? And it's the same thing. If you're a coach, you're a mentor, and you have something in a wheelhouse, once somebody is done in your wheelhouse, it's okay to move on. And that's the way a coach should be. And it doesn't matter. I don't care if you're talking about a junior high coach doesn't teach at high school. High school coaches don't teach in college. College don't teach in NFL. They have to start at one level, prove themselves, and then they move up into those other tiers. You don't just walk out and go, okay, I'm a fresh coach, I'm going to start in the NFL. It's learning and proving yourself.
Right. And but I mean, like, you could keep going to certain masterminds. Like if you go to Stu's mastermind, he might not be able to help you anymore because you're doing more. And again, I don't know what he's talking about these days besides branding, but I'm just saying somebody in the audience that you can connect with could help you get where you want to go even more. And that's what's good about some of these groups that we've been in and have been in, that those are the people who come to those groups, and that's who you want to connect with.
100%. Well, that's why I signed up to go next month, 2 months from now, into New York, is because I like the person hosting it, right? Steve, he was my second stage I ever spoke on. Steve gave me that opportunity, and it's learning from Steve. But then, like you said, the other people in the room, the Amberly Lagos, the Marthas that are in there, not even just the speakers, but the attendees who sit in the room who are very successful, who may not even get up to speak. And that's where a lot of people, matter of fact, just had this conversation on another podcast, is people buy tickets based on who's going to be on stage, but they're not thinking, yeah, but who's going to be in the room? And I know you go in with a different mentality. You go in with I'm here to see the speakers, but meet the other attendees.
Yeah, I'm there for the attendees. The speakers are just the extra.
Right. Because let's be honest, a lot of the speakers you can find on YouTube, social media, you name it. So it's go for them, but really pay attention to the other people in the room. And there's a conference I'm speaking at in September called Rich Thinking. And that's what their whole goal is yes, pay attention to the speakers, but we want you to be in the room with the people in the room, not just staring at the stage and taking notes.
Yeah, create partnerships. There's stuff you can do. Like we came out, we're doing this because of being at a Steve's event.
Exactly.
And that's what can you do with somebody else to get to a higher place? And that's the other thing you have to look at going forward. My purpose today was, we're going to talk about, you need to still niche down. I mean, really niche down, but you also need to figure out how you got to where you are and who helped you to get there. Thank them and keep going forward.
Well, and the best players don't always make the best coaches. That's a big thing. If someone's successful at something, a lot of times either it comes naturally or, to your point, they forget to thank the people that taught them the skills. And that's why you'll see these people who are successful, but then they try and put out their own coaching program or their own mastermind or something, and it flops because they don't know how to distill the information out to other people. So don't always go for the biggest name or the best marketing. Look and see who else have they taught to do what they did, because can they unpack how they got there, break it down, and teach you how to do it as well?
Right. I mean, there's a lot of, because they're going to make mistakes too. When you're building your own brand or whatever you're doing, you're going to make major mistakes. So it'd be nice to have somebody to help you not make those mistakes as much as possible. But when you make those mistakes, how did you recover from that? How did you help that client that you messed up, didn't deliver, didn't do this, didn't do that? How did you deal with that? I don't want to call it trauma, but basically, how did you deal with that? Most people don't deal with it well. It's not their fault. They make it the other person. No, it's your fault. Get as upset as they are, get them through it and move on. What are you smiling for?
Oh, I'm laughing because I'm going to go back into my former life. We used to have people who would want to argue with the customer about why we were more right than them when it was our failures. And number one, it was our product that failed and people wanted to argue it. And I'm like, just admit that we had a problem instead of fighting the customer and telling them what they did wrong. And, and now if the customer did something completely wrong, it's completely fine to do that.
No, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They're going to still talk about you bad. It's like Costco.
Right.
The return policy is ridiculous.
Yes.
I mean, it is ridiculous. I mean, you can bring something back 3 years ago after you used it forever outside and said, just return. They'll take it. They're not going to argue with you. Not everybody does it because people have, what would that be? Ethics, morals, something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so I'll give you a different experience. High-end jeans, right? That I went and bought. And I went traveling and I'm like, hey, I tried these on when I got home and I don't like them. They're like, well, it's been past 30 days. I said, well, I came to your store. I've been traveling. They're still in the bag. Here's the receipt. Nope, it's been 30 days. So guess where I'll never go back to, because they weren't cheap jeans, and the whole fact of they saw they weren't worn. Tags are still on them and everything. And they stuck to their, no, it's been 30 days.
Stores, a lot of the stores have that policy.
Yeah.
And I get it, but it's like, you have to figure out how you want to do with your company and how you're going to move forward. Because I mean, there's stuff that you would, like I said, Costco is ridiculous. But speaking of companies, did you see that Opus Clips has a new thing?
Oh yes. I went and played with it this weekend.
Clip anything?
I haven't used that feature yet, but I went in and played with some of the other features that are in there.
I'm talking about the new thing they have. It's a totally
the clip anything where you can do sounds and all kinds of things.
Yeah, I haven't played with it, but they reached out to me to do a thing with them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Awesome. I tell people all the time. Well, as a matter of fact, since we had Jim on, 3 weeks ago, something like that, he's like, will you send me some clips? I just threw it into Opus and sent him clips that he's got. So he's using those right now. And I did a podcast, a quick one to talk about that Rich Thinking conference that's coming up in September. And her and I did a 20-minute Instagram live. She sent it to me and we cut it up into clips. I mean, thinking of where a year and a half ago, how painful it was, so painful, and how easy it is just, I feel bad for video editors because they went from having a job that no one knew how to do to why do I need you?
Yeah, but they could do more now.
Yes.
It's because even though you do it, someone has to do it. Where a video editor can still do it and make sure they're good, because just because you cut it up doesn't mean you have the right hook, the right SEO, all the other stuff you're supposed to put on there that we don't really put well.
Yes.
There's a need for them. It's just you have to up your game.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Now it's about expertise. It used to be, hey, I know a little bit about this information that most people don't know how to do. So you could be, as long as you knew how to get into Adobe Editor or, Movie, I think it's Movie in iMac, and you went on a few of these other things, then people I know how to get into that software and utilize it. You don't know how to use it. Pay me to do that for you. Now, to your point, you have to be an expert in the entire craft. You have to know a little bit about copywriting, hooks, everything else. So you can't just say, hey, I'm a video editor, because people can do that on their own. Now it's, what can you do better than me that I should pay you for?
Correct.
Yeah.
And there's people can do a lot better than what we can do.
Oh, way better. So,
but it's about what can you do in the meantime,
Right.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to check my phone. It's bothering me.
No worries.
All right. That's it for the day. All right. Thanks.
Yeah. That's fine.
No, I'm just, because we talked about, we're still going to talk Thursday. We're going to have somebody in on This is a joker going to talk more about how they niche down, and I want them to talk more than we're talking about it today, because we talked about it last week on Tuesday, again on Thursday. It's so important that we're bringing it back again, and we could bring more and more people, because it's really for you to understand how much you have to work on this. This is not something you do once and you're done. Exactly. You need to keep making sure that's who is your perfect client.
I had an interview for a 2025 speaking gig in April of 2025. And that was their whole thing. They're like, okay, this is our audience. What are you going to have specifically for our audience? And I looked at it, I'd already done the research, looked at the website and everything. But you have to start dialing in. People are tired of the generic presentations, the generic pitches. People want to know you've done your research and you've made it specifically for them versus the cookie cutter stuff. And that's why we've been talking. A lot of people who used to go out and do trainings, presentations, speaking, when they were just giving the same stories over and over again, people are now saying, that's great that you have a story. How does it directly impact my audience? And that's another way of niching down, to your point. Like this one was for CEOs. And so they said, have you ever spoken at a CEO event? What else have you talked about? So even if you want to have multiple avatars, it's still, you have to niche down for what are you creating for that avatar as well.
Right. And you can have a niche that you speak to and just focus on that niche.
Yes.
And maybe, but you also, then you can go other places, but you really need to focus on your niche, because you can get that audience to hear you much better than everybody else. It's the difference of a shotgun and a rifle.
Agreed. And interesting while you're talking about that. So what is my main niche? I'm known for decoding facial features, but I just did a presentation, or I've been putting on videos from a presentation where I talked about body language. And those videos just took me on TikTok from 5,000 people to, I think I'm at 30 now. And it's because I started putting in body language. People are more familiar with body language. So now I've realized, okay, I need to change my strategy of not just always about faces, but cut up more of my talks on body language responses, modalities, you name it. Because I went to the point we were talking about before, to such a small niche that it wasn't grabbing attention, but people are familiar enough with body language that it helps me out a little bit.
And I actually don't think you went niche.
No? Oh, see, I thought I did.
You had faces. Everybody has a face.
Right.
But if you're trying to help somebody understand somebody's face, why?
Yeah.
What are they doing? Are they a doctor? Are they a nurse? Are they education? Are they a salesperson trying to understand and talk about their product to somebody else? Those are niches.
Mm-hmm. True.
That's because the best niche is when two things intersect, like a business owner that is a veteran. Now that is a total good niche, but you have to have only something for that person. So body language, I think it did better because people know body language.
That's what I mean.
And it could have been nothing to do with body language, but then what you said. Right.
Yeah. Well, apparently I look like Tom Segura, but I sound like Joe Rogan, which I'll take both those compliments.
Is that what they said?
Oh yeah. They always say, I thought it was Joe Rogan, but he's actually teaching us something. Or, hey, look, Tom Segura has a new stand-up. I'm like, okay, hey, I'll take those. Uncle Fester may hurt my feelings, but those I'll deal with.
That's funny.
Yeah.
People are just rude.
I know. Hurtful. So hurtful.
Hurt my one feeling.
That's right.
All right. So go ahead.
Quick note. If you haven't seen Deadpool 3 yet, go see it. It's pretty good. Okay.
I saw it weeks ago.
Oh, I just went and saw it last night. I liked it. It was
when
good.
It first came out. I saw it on a Friday showing.
Yeah.
I saw it the next Friday.
I got you.
Yeah. And it was really good, but I didn't tell anybody. So that way, it's like, have you seen it? Sure. But if I'm not going to tell, because if I tell something, then I might slip and say something. And
I just say, go see it. It was worth the price of admission.
Yeah. All the backstories, all the different places.
Yes. The cameo appearances and everything.
Cameo would say that the actor showed up. Right.
Well,
isn't that what cameo is? If they showed up, like if J-Lo showed up in a thing as J-Lo.
No, cameo is when a character who's not supposed to be directly involved with the plot of the show makes an appearance.
Yeah, but they're part of the plot of the show.
Not for this one though, because it's supposed to be Deadpool. But then all the people that showed up, like I'll just put it this way:
We can move on. We can
the
talk
people in the cave, are all cameos because yes, they're tied to the lineage of who's behind Deadpool in terms of the comics, but nobody ever would have expected to see them there.
No, but it was where they were at.
Yes,
they were thrown in there because of the time people.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. We'll be back Thursday.
Yeah. So take us out.
All right, everyone. Once again, Ed and I are here on Tuesdays, just him and I. On Thursdays, we have a special guest we call the Joker, who has a special skill or talent that you can learn from. So the best way to support us is subscribe and share Aces53, and we'll see you on Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific or noon Central.